The Young and the Restless spoilers full. Welcome back to our channel, Y&R family. Today is a crazy, beautiful, absolutely chaotic day in the soap world. And I just had to jump on here and vent with you all because my mind is completely blown. Grab your favorite snack, settle in, and let's get into the absolute madness that just went down in Genoa City. I cannot believe they did this to us. I am literally sitting here typing this at 2 a.m. My hands are still shaking, and my heart is beating out of my chest because the emotional whiplash of this latest episode is just too much. Are you kidding me with this storyline? We have been dragged through the mud, completely stressed out, crying our eyes out, thinking that we were actually going to lose the absolute matriarch of Genoa City. And then they pull a massive bait and switch. I mean, I am so relieved, but I am also so mad at the writers for playing with my emotions like this. So let's just back up for a second and talk about how this whole nightmare started. For weeks, we have been watching Nikki Newman suffer from these excruciating, blinding headaches. And I know some people are saying, oh, it's just her MS flaring up, because that's exactly what Nikki kept telling everyone. She was being so stubborn. Victoria's been practically begging her mother to go see a doctor, and Victor's been hovering around her like a giant controlling bat, making everything 10 times more stressful with their separation drama. But then the news broke. The absolute worst, most terrifying news you could possibly imagine. Word started spreading across Genoa City like wildfire that Nikki was severely sick and that she was actually dying. Dying? Can we talk about this? The sheer panic that swept through the town was palpable. You could feel the exhaustion and the fear radiating off the screen. I mean, everyone is already dealing with so much right now. Jack and Kyle are desperately trying to find Diane, who's missing and apparently locked in some padded room by that creep doctor. Markham and Patty Williams. Sharon is living in sheer terror because Victor, in his infinite twisted wisdom, decided to house Matt Clark at the Newman Ranch. Nick is spiraling with his drug addiction and the trauma of Vegas. And right in the middle of all this heavy, dark, suffocating drama, we get hit with the news that Nikki Newman is on her deathbed. It was too much. I was sitting on my couch, clutching my throw pillow, thinking, they cannot do this. They cannot kill off Nikki. Not now. Not ever. But then, oh my gosh, but then Dr. Stephanie Simmons walks into the room. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me just set the scene, because it was honestly one of the most tense moments I've seen on this show in years. You have Victor standing there looking like his entire empire means absolutely nothing if he loses his my baby. You have Victoria, who has been the one sounding the alarm this whole time, looking completely devastated. And Nick, who is already hanging by a thread with his own demons, looking like he's about to completely shatter into a million pieces. The atmosphere in that hospital was so thick you could cut it with a knife. And Stephanie comes in. Now, I have to go off on a quick tangent here. Isn't Stephanie supposed to be dealing with her own massive, life-altering drama? I mean, she just dropped the bomb on Malcolm Winters that they have a secret adult son, Holden. She is in the middle of this huge Winters family explosion. Nate is involved, Lily is involved, and yet here she is strolling into the Newman hospital room to deliver the most critical lab results in the history of Genoa City Memorial. Okay, back to the point. Stephanie walks in, looks at the Newman family, and drops the mother of all plot twists. She says there was a mistake, a massive, unimaginable mistake. The test results were wrong. Nikki is not sick. Nikki is not dying. In fact, Nikki is completely 100% healthy. I literally screamed at my television, "Wrong test results? Are you absolutely kidding me? Am I the only one who thinks Genoa City Memorial needs to be investigated by the FBI, the CDC, and every other alphabet agency in the country? How on earth does a hospital mix up the lab results for the wife of the most powerful billionaire in the state? I mean, Victor Newman practically built that hospital. He probably funds their entire cardiology wing. And some random lab tech just accidentally swaps Nikki Newman's blood work with someone who is terminally ill. The reaction from the family was exactly what you would expect, but also amplified by 1,000. Nick looked like he could finally breathe for the first time in weeks. I think this news is the only thing keeping him from completely going off the deep end with the fentanyl and the cocaine he's been messing with. Victoria burst into tears of pure, unadulterated relief. And Victor? Oh, Victor. You could see the weight of the world lift off his shoulders, but at the same time, you could see the absolute murderous rage building behind his eyes. Because let's be real. Whoever made this clerical error, and he is going to destroy their life, their career, and probably buy the hospital just so he can fire the entire board of directors. I am totally here for Victor going on a rampage against hospital administration, honestly. But here's the part that really got me, and why I am typing this up furiously instead of sleeping. Nikki's reaction. While everyone else is popping imaginary champagne and crying tears of joy, Nikki is sitting there like a stone. She doesn't believe it. And you know what? I don't blame her. Nikki immediately shuts down the celebration and says she wants to go to other hospitals to get checked. She wants second, third, and fourth opinions. And I'm sitting here nodding along with her like, yes, Queen, protect yourself. Because think about what this woman has been through. She has battled alcoholism. She has battled multiple sclerosis. She has been shot, kidnapped, held hostage, and emotionally manipulated by Victor for decades. She knows better than anyone that in Genoa City, good news is rarely just good news. There is always a catch. There is always a hidden agenda. And that brings me to my biggest fear right now. Is this actually real? Or is this a terrible, cruel joke? Because my mind is racing with theories. What if the first test results were actually the correct ones and someone paid off Stephanie or someone in the lab to fake the healthy results? I know that sounds crazy, but this is the Young and the Restless. We literally have Patty Williams running around wearing God knows whose face, blackmailing Jack Abbott with photos of Diane in a padded cell. We have Matt Clark faking amnesia and living at the Newman Ranch. We have AI-generated emails framing Christine Blair and Phyllis Summers. Nothing is off the table. What if Victor orchestrated this? What if Nikki really is sick, but Victor paid off the doctors to tell her she's fine so she wouldn't stress while he secretly tries to find a cure behind her back? Remember when they tried a secret illness storyline with him a few years ago? Yeah, didn't work then either. It just caused massive resentment. Or what if one of Victor's enemies tampered with the tests just to cause psychological torture for the Newman family? Could Matt Clark have someone on the inside? Could Sienna Bacall be messing with the hospital records just to push Nick further into his addiction by playing with his emotions? I am so emotionally exhausted by this show sometimes, but I can't look away. I've been watching for years, and this is exactly the kind of soapy, dramatic, edge-of-your-seat storytelling that keeps me hooked even when I want to throw my remote at the wall. I know some people are loving this twist because they couldn't bear the thought of losing Melody Thomas Scott, and trust me, I am one of them. The show would simply not survive without Nikki Newman. She is the glamorous, resilient, beating heart of that family. But the psychological toll this is taking on the characters is just brutal. Imagine being told you are going to die. You make your peace with it. You look at your children. You look at the man you have loved and hated for 40 years, and you prepare for the end. And then someone walks in and says, oops, our bad. You're fine. The trauma of that alone is enough to require years of therapy. Nikki's demand to go to other hospitals is the most realistic reaction anyone has had on this show in months. She is terrified to hope. She is terrified to believe that she has been given a second chance, only to have it ripped away again if they find out the second test was the actual mistake. And what does this mean for the rest of the canvas? Will Victor and Nikki finally drop their petty separation drama and reunite because they realize how short life is? Or will Victor's inevitable quest for vengeance against the hospital drive a wedge between them again? Will this near-death experience push Nick to finally get clean, or will the whiplash of it all be the excuse he uses to take another hit? I am dreading the fallout of this, but I am also so incredibly invested. We need answers. We need to know exactly how a mistake of this magnitude happened. And if it turns out that someone did this on purpose, oh, I want blood. I want Victor to unleash the full power of Newman Enterprises on whoever dared to play God with Nikki's life. Am I overthinking this? Maybe. But you guys know how this goes. In GC, a medical miracle is usually just the calm before a massive, devastating storm. Let me know what you guys think. Are you buying Stephanie's good news? Do you think Nikki is actually in the clear? Or is there another shoe waiting to drop? I need to know. I'm not the only one spiraling over this.